Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Drummer. Today is Monday. It's Monday evening. I'm so sorry that we're webcasting, not podcasting, but we're live streaming very late today. But I just got back from Glasgow. Got back this morning from this amazing event, music event, Glasgow Spot. And I just want to say thank you and congratulations to the organizers, Tita and Kenji. It was so amazing. But anyways, yeah, from Glasgow, we're gonna go to Cork in Ireland, because my guest today is coming to us live from Cork, and yeah, so we'll bring him in now. My dear friends, please welcome Ashley Keating. Yay! It's okay for me to call you Ash. I mean, you've got your name there as Ash, anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Ashley. I'm never quite sure what to introduce myself as, to be honest. So whichever kind of rolls off the tongue easy for yourself or for anyone else
Yeah. Well, I
is
like
is good.
Ash because
Yeah,
I don't know if you're familiar with Pokemon, but
Pokemon. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but the
Yeah.
main character in
That's
Pokemon
right.
is called
Yeah,
Ash. It is Ash
yeah,
Ketchum, so it's very close to your name. It's
yeah,
like-
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Not that character is actually based on me in real life. So yeah, I must pick up my royalties from him actually.
from yeah,
They,
from Nintendo.
they owe me a few billion. It's
Yeah. So
so
how are you? What's the weather like in Cork at the moment?
it's gorgeous. It's amazing. Yeah, it's been lovely.
Are
It's
you
been
having a heat wave as well?
yeah, like our heat waves would be slightly different from UK heat waves. Now ours normally involve rain. So, but no, it's actually very nice today. It's going to be good all week, which is unusual for Ireland
Yeah.
generally.
Oh,
But yeah. But are you in Manchester? Are you
Stockport. With,
Stockport? Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So you
part of
you you you
Greater
know all
Manchester.
about grayness and rain as well. So yeah, I actually I worked in Manchester for a while in like 2008 2009, and the weather is very like Cork. It was like almost always grey and like
Yeah,
most of the time raining. So but yeah, it's different here now. It's really nice today. So if
yeah.
I didn't have to work, I would have definitely been down the beach. So
Oh, right.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't rain all the time in Manchester. People always say that it rains all the time, but it doesn't. And I bet it's like that in Cork as well. It doesn't rain all the time in Cork.
probably it just feels like it does. So
Well, I was telling you earlier before we went on live that my husband's just been to Cork just for a day trip. I think Ryanair has this special offer. It's like, I don't know, like £10
yeah,
one way or something. But so he just goes there for the day and buys like packs of Barry's tea
very good.
and McCambridge bread.
Oh, the soda bread.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
the
that
brown
one.
brown bread. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
good.
because
Yeah,
we can't get that here in the UK. I mean,
yeah,
Barry's tea, we were told that we can actually get it here now.
yeah. You you can pretty much live on Barry's tea and McCambridge bread. You don't really need anything else. I
Yeah,
think
that's
all the main vitamins, nutrients, and minerals are contained in both products. So that's all we eat in my house anyway. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
and then
So
yeah, but anyways, I want to say thank you to Dubia Frederick. He's just sort of like message to say that he's not able to sort of like join us live, but he will sort of like watch it later.
cool.
Thank you Dubia for the link up because it was him who actually sort of like told me to sort of like interview you for Ask the Drummer. I was like, yeah,
Ah,
I
he's
will.
great. He's great. We've done a few bits with him now. He's really good as well. So it's actually
Yeah,
nice. I suppose that's the one thing about lockdown. It was kind of nice to meet people because everyone had to kind of get themselves online and think a bit differently about how to just how to be
And,
social essentially.
yeah,
And
and
so we got to meet some nice people now. In fairness, so it was great to meet Frederick and yourself, obviously.
yeah.
So
Wait, but have you has he been to any of your gigs?
I don't think so. I don't think like
No.
we haven't played in the States in a long time. I think we did one show in New York about, I don't know, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, and before that it was like late
Like,
'90s, I'd say, maybe the
okay.
year 2000 or something. So
Yeah, yeah,
we haven't toured there in like donkey's years. So
yeah. So
it's
it's
just
just
so
really
it's so difficult to get there with visas, and
with
obviously
yeah,
the cost is huge as well. So
yeah,
without like a major label, it's very difficult. I mean,
yeah,
Europe is easy because it's just, well, obviously Ryanair is handy, or EasyJet. You can kind of hop
yeah.
over for a weekend and back, but the States is tricky. All right.
Yeah, I believe so. I was told that it's actually costs a lot of money for bands from the UK and Europe to go to America,
Yeah,
but American bands can actually come to the UK, and it's not gonna cost them a lot of money, but it's
yeah,
different, so like the other way, so
yeah, yeah.
yeah. But anyway, so welcome to Ask the Drummer. So episode 49 is all about you, Ash Keating.
Cool.
Um, yeah, so we're gonna start like from the very beginning. So I asked you this earlier. So you were born and raised in Cork.
Oh, I have to answer questions. Oh, I thought it was just a chat.
Oh
No, no one told me there'd be questions.
no!
What what happens? What happens if I get them wrong? Do I get into
No,
trouble
it's
or?
I don't think you'll get that. So like, yeah.
Okay,
So
okay,
yeah. So
okay.
so what's Cork like when you were growing up? What was it like?
Um, yeah. So yeah, I was born in '67. So I actually lived the early part of my life. Even though I was born in Cork, I lived the early part of my life in London because my parents they actually met in London, even though both of them are from Cork. And then I think when I was about 5 or 6, I moved back to Cork. Um, so then did the usual things. Went to school, played football, played hurling and Gaelic football, which are kind of Irish games.
Yeah,
And then once I discovered music, uh, kind of realized that I had an affinity with the drums. I was always like tipping and tapping along to things, and that as regard what it was like to grow up in, it was great. It was safe. It was, we were close to the beach, so we were always,
yeah,
fishing and swimming, and you know out the countryside. Even though like Cork is a city, it's a small city, so that you're surrounded by the countryside. So yeah, it was really nice. And I suppose that as we got older, you realize that there was like a lack of opportunity there. I mean, the '80s in Cork would have been like the '80s in most places in Ireland and most places in the UK. I guess it was, unless your family had money, you couldn't really go to university. Um, there was the the kind of traditional industries were dying off. There wasn't much to do, so it was you were kind of looking at the dole queue basically, and then
yeah.
but then kind of found an outlet in music, and just started to form bands with
The
friends,
band.
and yeah, just went
But
from there.
well, Cork is famous for its music scene, right? I mean, apart from the Franken Walters, there's like the Sultans of Ping as well. I mean, they're
Yeah,
quite famous, and um, I mean, I remember them. So like they played at Shine On.
that's
Uh,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think it was, yeah. Because I mean, the reason I mentioned it is because you'll be playing at Shine On this year
Oh
in
yeah,
November. So
yeah,
I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Frank and Walters at Shine On. But there's also like Rory Gallagher. What's it?
yeah. Of
Rory
course,
Gallagher
yeah, yeah,
from Cork.
yeah.
Um,
So like
yeah,
he's the main one, I guess, really, Rory
yeah,
Gallagher. And then there was lots of kind of very kind of alternative bands in the kind of 70s and 80s. Like I suppose the punk scene in Cork was quite big, and then the post punk scene, and you had a band in Cork, Five Go Down to the Sea, who kind of went on to form Beethoven, who were on Creation Records, one of the first bands on Creation Records, and they did some made some waves over in the UK, and then of course Micro Disney came along,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Well,
and
yeah,
so yeah, there's always been a good like it's always been quite a small music scene, but it's always been good in that it's like there's always something different. I think Cork bands have this natural desire to be they want to be different from everyone else.
oh,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
they
yeah.
so there's never really been a scene like the like bands in Cork will try to be different from all the other bands in Cork,
From all the,
and
yeah,
and by extension, then they're different from other bands in Ireland and other bands, So there's never really, obviously when you go back, you would punk, you would post punk, you would ska, baggy, indie,
mm,
grunge, and it was like
yeah,
those scenes never really happened in Cork. Cork bands tended to want to be different from what was going on both
yeah,
worldwide and even within Cork. So it throws up a lot of odd, unique characters and bands that are just a little bit different from everything else that's going
yeah,
on, which
yeah,
is good. It keeps things interesting, but I suppose there's a downside to that in that because everyone's trying to be different, they're not naturally commercial, and I mean you need to have an element of commerciality to kind of get yourself outside of your hometown and to start doing things in different territories and that. So there's an upside and there's a downside, but even today, like there's plenty of bands coming through and there's plenty of interesting stuff going on.
yeah. Well, you mentioned Michael Disney because now I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Is it Cahill
Yeah,
Coughlin?
Colin,
'Cause,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
'cause he sort of like left the planet recently, so rest in
Yeah, it
peace.
was very sad. Yeah,
Really
yeah,
sad because he's young, isn't he? It's not even.
yeah, yeah. Very,
Yeah,
very young. Yeah, that was a shame.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
tis
another. Yeah, sorry, pardon. Yeah. Another thing
no,
that's sort of like there's a sadness whenever I hear or like the Cork, because in 2016, it was in the news when Colin Verncombe of Black
oh yeah, yeah,
had
yeah,
an accident in Cork. I think he was on the way to the airport or maybe
yeah. I,
from
I
the
think
airport.
he just landed and he was driving.
Yeah,
He stayed down in Kinsale. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That again. That was tragic. Yeah,
yeah. Because he lived in Cork, didn't he? He
he did.
was.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But anyway, so we've got someone who's joined us live, Richard Bourne. He said that he loves the Franken Walters. In fact, I'd say their debut album is one of the greatest of all time. So catchy and uplifting. So
Very
yeah.
nice.
And Aiden O'Rourke, who's my husband, the one who loves Barry Steve, and
All
he's
right.
also my sound tech. He said that sound and vision great, so that's good. So
Excellent, excellent.
um,
You should tell him. I don't know. Does he know this? But so Barry's do it. What I'm drinking at the moment now, they do a thing called Master Blend. You don't see it that often, but it like so they do runs of it, and it's like it's very good. It's like the champagne of tea. It's
oh right.
exceptional tea. Yeah.
Oh, so what color is the packaging? Because I think he brought
It
a
it
red
it's
one and a green.
it's it's maroon and gold. It's kind of a special. It's almost a limited edition.
Oh, I see.
So
He, need,
yeah, and
he needs to
it's
go
really
back.
good.
Yeah, he needs to
Yeah,
go back to so
he
like he needs to go back to Cork and just buy it now.
needs to get onto the Ryanair website quick and get a deal because it's in the shops at the moment, but it could sell out quick. Like normally, there's sometimes there'd be riots in Patrick Street if these the anticipation when the master blend comes out is quite high.
All right.
So
Yeah, make sure you sort of like book that flight to Cork as soon as possible. I also want to say hello to Rob Williams. He said that he really has Beamish in that mug. That's what Rob Williams
right, I wish.
But anyways, so what got you into drumming?
um, I don't know. It's kind of I I kind of think that I felt I couldn't play anything else but the drums. Like I kind of had a natural tippy tappiness, if that's a word. When I'd listen to something, I'd tip and tap along. And I, I when I looked at the drums, even though a drum kit is quite big and there's lots of like different moving parts, I wasn't really intimidated. I wasn't afraid of it. Whereas like with a piano, like kind of almost frightened me, and guitars, and even the bass, even though the bass only had four strings, it like
Yeah,
there was something that I felt if I try that, I won't be good, and I didn't have that fear with the drums, I don't think. And then, you know, like obviously badgered my mum and dad to get me a drum kit, which went on for years, and then,
yeah,
but they eventually did, and I suppose I was naturally able to do it. I never got lessons or anything like that. I just started messing about and started hitting things, and it seemed to work. No, it was obviously very at a very basic level, but yeah. And then once I had the kit, then I was obviously able to join a band, and you know, um, myself and Paul, who's the singer in the Franks,
just
and
yeah,
his brother Niall, who was the original guitarist in the Franks, we just started practicing, and I think because we were all at roughly the same level,
yeah.
we kind of got, which is vital, I think, to a band working. If everyone starts at a similar level, makes it a lot easier for everyone to kind of grow as one.
So that's always
Um,
been your first band. You didn't have any other band before that,
d- d-
before the Frankenwalters.
no, there was there was a few different versions of the band, but it was essentially, I think that there was members came and went at different stages, but generally it was like me, Paul, and I were essentially the kind of core of the band, and then we kind of split up and joined other bands, but none of them were really serious. They never. Well, for me anyway, it's like I don't know about the lads, but they never. I never felt that they were real bands, and then we,
Oh,
we we eventually, my watch is talking to me, sorry, and then
oh,
we eventually got back together, and then you know it kind of it felt correct, and then we started doing gigs and
yeah.
started getting a little bit of a following, and started to get confidence in ourselves and our writing and our playing, and from there kind of just kept going, and
Yeah. Have you always
haven't really stopped. So
oh have you always been called the Frankenwalters, or did you have any other names or like band names?
yeah, like as a gigging band, it was always the Frank and Walters, yeah. Or like our first gig was the 14th of February 1989 in a place called Clonakilty in West Cork. So it's about 25 miles from the city. So that was we did that as the Frank and Walters. And it's been like that ever since. We had like bandied around with names, but none of them ever stuck. But the Frank and Walters stuck then.
And where did
So
it come from? Where did is there a Frank? Or is
uh,
there
it, it it depends on what story you read. There's like we've a lot of different versions of it,
oh,
but so there's
what's
no
the real version?
I think the real version has been lost um, through time. So no one actually remembers the real
No
story
one.
anymore. So
Yeah. Well, I was given a badge, Frank and Walters badge, by a record shop owner in Liverpool, and
all right,
he told me, yeah, he told me because I don't know if have you played in Liverpool, so like
yeah,
yeah,
lots of times, yeah.
there's there's a guy that called Skinny. He's quite famous.
Oh yeah,
A guitar tech. I mean, he's Mick Head's
yeah,
guitar tech. Yeah, that's how I know him.
yeah,
So, anyways, the record shop owner said to me, um, the Franken Walters are Skinny's most favorite, like all time, like all time band. So he gave me this badge, and he said, if Skinny sees you with the Franken Walters badge, oh my god, he's gonna love you and everything. And I was all like, I was like, oh really? I was like, I mean, considering his Mick Head's,
yeah,
guitar, but
yeah,
for him, his most favorite band, the Franken Walters. And I thought, oh, I've got to know. I've got to sort of like find out more about the Franken Walters.
yeah.
So that's really good. So have you worked with him, or
Oh,
have you worked?
Skinny, yeah.
Yeah.
So we would have met Skinny first. We were in we were recording in Amazon Studios in Liverpool. Amazon Studios, I think it might have been called Power Street. It was either Amazon or Power Street, but it was in the early 90s. We were recording with Ian Brody, and
All right.
Skinny was the
Sound engineer. Oh yeah,
assistant
yeah,
engineer on the sessions, and we just got to know him and got on really well, and we've been pals ever since. Skinny's brilliant, like he's
yeah,
one of the nicest people you could
yeah.
ever meet, and he's an amazing guitar tech and an amazing engineer as well. Um, but he's just a brilliant person. So I know he's helped us out over the years. He actually ran our last gig, and the last time we played in Liverpool was in the Zanzibar, which was a brilliant venue. We
Yeah,
loved playing there, and
yeah, yeah,
to Skinny actually promoted it, so it was thanks to him. Yeah, we got to play there the last time. So yeah, we'll have to come back sometime. Like we love playing in Liverpool.
yeah.
So
Because you have to forgive me, but apart from the records that I found at secondhand shops, because I'm not really sure whether the Franken Walters reached us in the Philippines. Because you said you were going for like late 80s, early 90s.
yeah,
Yeah,
89 we would have started
yeah.
releasing records around, I don't know, 91 or something. I'm not sure. It's so long so long ago. Um, but yeah, no, we certainly never got to the Philippines anyway. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, one great thing about like starting a record collection is that you get to discover all these bands that you missed out on. Because I don't
yeah,
know. There's something about record collecting. It's not the same as just collecting CDs. Because with the CDs, you tend to
yeah,
sort of like just buy whatever is the current bands. But with records, it's different. When you discover a secondhand record shop, and then you go back and you look at all these amazing, so like 12-inch or albums and things. So at the moment, I've actually got three. Um, the Franken Walters 12-inch
oh,
single.
cool, yeah,
So I'm beginning to sort of like learn more about the about the
very
band.
good, very good.
Yeah.
I
Well,
hope you
Richard.
like us.
Oh yes, yes, that's what I'm really looking. I'm really looking forward to like seeing the band play at Shine On. But Richard Bourne said that he said that Into Paradise, A House, Emotional Fish, and Whipping Boy, all great Southern Irish bands from his youth. Oh yeah, I love. I mean, I love A House.
Hmm.
They were they're actually quite big in the Philippines, because
All right.
so yeah. Um, I'll
Cool.
always be grateful. That song,
Yeah. Great,
I
great track. Yeah,
really love
brilliant.
that one.
And
And
Dave Coase from our host, the singer, he would have he would have produced our very first EP, and he would have also produced our Grand Parade album, which was our second record. Yeah.
oh wow,
So
is he?
that there's quite a link between ourselves and a house, or a house as I call
Oh, is he
him.
out? Yeah, I can't really tell how to pronounce all these things anyway. But um, yeah, well, Mark Radcliffe sent a message saying that, we mentioned the Grand Parade. He said the Grand Parade is one of my favorite albums, and so yeah, hopefully I can find a copy of that one. So because I need to keep an eye
Cool.
out for a copy of that. So thanks to Mark. But anyway, I've been googling googling your name, and I've noticed that you've had different hairstyles over the years. You look so different. There's I wasn't even sure whether it's actually am I looking at the same person. So
Yeah.
there's one of you with like a skinhead, and then there's one with like long hair and curly hair
Yeah.
and short hair. So now you've got short hair. But
Yeah.
Steve Matthews, he said he sent in this question for you. He said, "Can you ask Ash if he would consider growing his afro haircut, or would that be difficult now?"
God. Um. Oh, yeah. I don't actually know whether I'd be able to do it or not. Like if I let it go for a while, it starts to get a little bit curly. All right, but I don't know. Could I? But I mean, I certainly couldn't put up with like the knots. Like it goes really curly and it tangles really badly. So I couldn't go through that again. That was tough. That was
Oh,
tough those days. So I know when I look back on those photographs, like it's just like kind of I cringe. Like I found an old passport of mine recently, and I mean I don't know how I got allowed into different countries with the passport photo. Like I just looked like a lunatic with the hair. It was just like what was going on in the 90s and hair. It was like there was no sense, no reason to it. Like someone like the adults in the room should have taken us aside and said, "Look, you have to calm yourselves down now. Like you're pushing on a bit for that sort of haircut." But they didn't. They left us at it. Terrible. And we have to live with the photographs.
yeah, yeah, it'll be a bit difficult. So it will take it probably like a few years to get that sort of like very long curly hair again, or
Yeah,
maybe
well,
just months or something.
I think what it was that I was in the when I left school, I joined the Navy in Ireland. So the circus weren't taking on anyone at the time, so I ran away with the Navy instead of the circus. And obviously, I had to have short hair in
Yeah.
the Navy. And I think when I left, it was just a reaction to having to have short hair for 4 years. I just let
Yeah.
it. I just let loose and just kept growing. Never cut it for a few years, and it ended up like I ended up looking like I don't know, kind of cross between Kevin Keegan and Michael Jackson or something. I don't know. It was just the most bizarre haircut ever. It was crazy. But
Yeah. Well, I've also noticed that this is because like I said, I mean, I haven't actually seen the Franken Walters when like in the '90s or something. But again, another thing that I've noticed, you didn't used to wear like the same clothes when you were performing. But now I think when I look at all the when you go on YouTube and search for the Frank and Walters, you've got a uniform now. You're wearing a sort of like
Yeah,
did did you always when did you start wearing uniform?
that believe it or not, that was there from the start. So
I was
yeah. So the original uniform would have been orange polo necks and purple trousers.
yeah.
So that was the initial uniform in, I guess it was probably 89, 90. We'd have started wearing that, and we wore that up to about, I guess, maybe 95 or something. Um, and then we got a bit, we got a bit moody and started taking ourselves a bit seriously, and we ditched the uniform for a bit, but there was just something missing. It was. I think the reason we got the uniform to start with, well, one obviously was to stand out from the crowd, but the other one was to kind of, when you're in a football team or whatever, netball
Yeah.
team, chess team, whatever, and you pull on the jersey and you're
Mm.
part of something bigger, and you go out and you perform that little bit better because of it. I I think it was we brought it back. I mean, it must be 12, 15 years ago at this stage. And it was just the first time we tried it, it felt brilliant. It felt like we were back, to our best, and we had that, like, kind of team mentality again, and we kind of, it wasn't four individuals on stage. We were part of something a little bit bigger, and a little bit more important. And we've kept it ever since. It's just been, and I actually couldn't imagine doing a show without it now.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
uniform, yeah. It
yeah,
wasn't
it's
like
all it's a bit like a crutch as well. I think, it's like, if you're, because it like, it changes your mindset. It just, and it focuses you into the gig, and so suddenly, like, you're thinking about all this other stuff, work and life and all that, and next you put on your uniform and it's like boom, gig time, and you just,
yeah, yeah.
get into the moment and away you go. So it
But
definitely works. Definitely works.
yeah. Is it like a nod to Kraftwerk? Because Kraftwerk
Uh,
also had this sort
yeah,
of like
yeah, like,
similar
yeah, we
thing.
did. We never meant it to, like originally, the original uniform. We we wanted to look different from other bands, and we also wanted something which was loud, which was, which, I mean, I suppose when we started gigging in 89, 90, like, everyone was wearing the exact same thing, and we didn't want to look like them. So
Yeah.
we found, like, what was the loudest, nuttiest thing we could find, and we went to this shop in Cork, which is still there, actually. And we asked them, did they have any old stock from the 70s, and they allowed us go up to the stock room, and we found these, like, mental, like, velvet purple trousers and
Yeah.
orange polo necks, and we were just like, that's perfect, like, let's go for it, and off off we went. So, but yeah, like, the new, I suppose the new look looks a bit craftworky, eh, but it was only till someone pointed it out to us. Funnily enough, the person that pointed it out to us was Dave Coase from a house, which is
Oh,
which is kind
all
of
right.
a weird coincidence, because he
Yeah.
saw us in Dublin. He saw us in Dublin and said, like, nice not to craft work there, lads. We were like, what? And we were like, obviously, the cover of the Man Machine with the red shirts and the black ties.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it was never knowingly. But, like, we are. I mean, I think all of us in the band are fans of Kraftwerk as well. So, to be mentioned in the same sentence as Kraftwerk, even if it's not for anything
It
musical,
was.
is quite an honor. So we'll take that one.
Oh, well, Peter Bathgate, he said, please come back to Liverpool soon, mates. So he's
Will do.
obviously from Liverpool. So,
We'll
but
we'll try our best.
so you have traveled so like around the world, like Europe and America and Asia. Did
Yeah.
you go to Asia for gigs?
We were only ever in Japan.
Oh, Japan, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we were never anywhere else in Asia with the band. No, only Japan.
yeah,
Um, yeah, mainly Europe and America, I guess.
yeah.
Um,
Well, there's
so
one. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
no. I was
No,
just
this.
letting a kind of a one of those pauses that kind of goes on a bit too long.
Well, there's one particular gig that when I was sort of like doing my research that I'm very interested in to find out. It's when you did a gig at the Viper Room.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
apparently Matt Dillon turned up.
yeah,
Matt Dillon was there. What was it like? What was that gig like? 'Cause I love Matt Dillon. I think he's
yeah.
amazing.
Um, yeah. It was like we were. It was Los Angeles is a strange enough place when you go there first. I think it takes a few visits to kind of click into the movement of the city. It's unlike most places, and it's certainly like I suppose at that stage we were living in New York for about 3 or 4 months, so we were used to New York. We were kind of used to how the East Coast worked and moved, and the rhythm of those cities. Uh, but I think it took us 3 or 4 visits to Los Angeles before we actually clicked into the vibe of the place, and I don't think we liked it very much. But I mean, after a third or fourth time visiting, we began to really like it. Then after we, I think for us from Cork, it's like you'd be surprised how much what the river means in the city. Like everything is defined by the river. So there's two channels of the river. There's kind of the city centres and an island in the middle, and then there's the south side and the north side. And like everything, like what school you go to, where you're from, who you're dating, what venues you go to, what pubs you're drinking, and everything is kind of defined in relation to the river. So when we got to a place that didn't have a river, it felt really weird.
Oh,
And
I see.
we found like that was the thing with the way Los Angeles doesn't have a defined center, and then it didn't have a river, and it didn't seem to have a main street. It was like all over the place. We couldn't get our heads around it, so it took a few visits. But yeah, the Viper Room. I think it was like a box to tick, and remember being a pretty bizarre gig. Like we had the guy that was running it at the time said like, okay, you're on stage at like, it wasn't like you're on stage at 8 and you've got
Yeah.
45 minutes. It was like you're on stage at 9 minutes past 8 and you have 47 minutes. It's like something really. So I were going like, all right, and then but like apparently Matt Dillon used to keep an eye on because obviously he's kind of got Irish connections and his kind
Yeah.
of his heritage, and he used to
Yeah.
keep an eye on what Irish bands were in town. So he saw that we were playing, and he saw that there was, and we were Irish, obviously, and he
Yeah.
came down. So yeah, he kind of he was nice. He was a bit standoffish. He was by himself, just chatted, said he enjoyed the gig,
Yeah.
and kind of
Well,
off
he
he
did.
went. He was kind of gone before we even realized who he was,
He.
almost,
Oh, because I remember he had a bit part. Do you know the video for the fairy
Fairy tale,
tale?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. He played the cop, didn't he? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I was
yeah,
so like thinking,
yeah,
God, yeah, he's obviously so like he loves Irish bands, and it's like,
yeah.
um, I've got a question. Oh, actually, Rob Williams is here. He said that he thinks that you had a tribute band in Japan years before they had ever even played there. So there's already a
That's right.
tribute band.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
There's also another question from here, and this one is from Facebook. He said, "Can you ask Ash which is the hardest song he has to play? Maybe
Yeah.
Circumstance, as it goes on for nearly 6 minutes."
Uh, funnily enough, that that's yeah, that can be tricky, but it's not the hard. The hardest is the song off our third record. It's called "Time We Said Goodnight." That's really tricky. It's really tricky to play. Um, it's kind of got a slightly. It's like it's got a rhythm that d doesn't quite fit with the track, but does in another in another way. Um, and that's really hard to play because you're not like most songs. Actually, most songs that I play with the band, um, I play to the vocal, which is sometimes it's unusual for the drummer. Drummers normally play with the bass player, but because Paul is the bass player and the singer, and
Yeah.
our early practice rooms, all I could actually hear was Paul. I at the start I never really played along to bass. I'd always play along to the vocals, but that's one of the few songs where I'm not playing to the vocal. In fact, I'm not playing to any of the other instruments. I'm almost doing my own thing. So it can be a tricky song, and
Oh,
the other thing about it is that there's like there's quiet bits and loud bits, and so the dynamics of it would really take it out of you. So it's if you're doing it at the end of a gig, you almost collapse at the end of it. Like your whole body is drenched in sweat, and the muscles are really burning up. So it's good workout, but hard to play. And
yeah.
then there's a song that we haven't done live in an awful long time, called "Time We Said Goodnight," which is really tricky to play. But we haven't done it, thank God, in a long time. So I don't think that'll be making an appearance
Oh,
on the
not a
on the
shine on?
set.
You're not gonna play it, shine on?
I doubt it. I doubt we
No.
played it. China. No, no. It's kind of an obscure. I don't even think it was a B side. I think it might have been a C or a D side. So
Oh,
it's yeah. No one probably remembers it, to be honest with you.
what about? I mean, this is really good. I actually posted it on the page earlier today. Your cover version of "Funky Cold Medina." That is just amazing.
Yeah.
How about that one? Are you gonna be playing that at Shine On or?
Did um that that might make a comeback at some stage. Yeah. It was just one of these songs that worked live. Just it was. I mean,
It's a
I don't
riot.
even
I mean, it's like
I
really,
I
really
I
good.
I don't even remember how it came about, like, but it did, and people used to love it live, and we kind of dust it down and kind of bring it out every now and again. So yeah, I mean, I'd say we haven't seen the end of Funky Cool Medina yet.
Yeah.
we have
Well,
we
fingers
haven't
crossed.
quite we haven't quite retired it yet. So
Yeah, fingers crossed that you play it at Shine On because I'm really good. I'm really looking forward to that one. But there's also this thing that I've read that there was one time, um, all the band members left the stage to go like do some toilet break or something,
yeah,
and but you stayed, and apparently you did an acapella version of
yeah.
Walk on the Wild side. So, first thing I want to ask you is, why did you not go with them?
Uh, back in those days, I'd have a very tough bladder.
Oh,
Um, it's not so tough these days, but it was back when I was a teen or in my 20s. But I think that was my one and only attempt at singing on a stage. I've got a really bad voice. Like my voice would put like cats to shame.
oh,
It's
oh.
really really bad. And so yeah, I just had to do something. So I think the only two songs I knew at the time were probably the national anthem and Walk on the Wild Side. So it was either sing the national anthem or Walk on the Wild Side, and I suppose Walk on the Wild Side was marginally cooler, to
Then the
play in
national,
a
they probably
in
say,
in
yeah.
a student venue full of like cidered up teenagers. So yeah, I just about got away with it, but luckily the lads were quick and came back and kind of rescued the situation. But that's a long time ago.
Oh.
Where did you find that? Flipping hell.
I was all like, what? I wonder if it's like on YouTube or something. Maybe someone videoed it or something.
I don't think video recorders were invented back then when that happened, to be honest with you.
There's
So,
also like on your sort of like Facebook page. I saw a photograph of you with Mike Joyce.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what what was it like? I mean, are you a fan of the Smiths or are
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. A massive, massive fan of the Smiths. Yeah, yeah. It was actually great to meet him. We played in the 100 Club, um, and Grant, who organises the gigs, Mute Elephant, um, the promoters, he had Mike DJing at the kind of after show, and I was just brilliant to meet him. Like, I mean, what a band the Smiths, you know,
Yeah.
were are. It was just they were inspired. Like, I suppose, when we would have started playing, we were I think we were a bit unfocused. We didn't we didn't really have a particular influence. And then you know I think once we heard the Smiths, it was there's a few bands like that. You look back to, when you're growing up, and they made a huge difference. I think, I mean, not only their, like, obviously their lyrics, which is the obvious one. I mean, there had never been a lyricist that spoke to,
The
a kid from
generation.
the suburbs so well, I think. But the music, when you look behind, like, the lyrics and the song on the surface, like what was going on underneath, like with the bass drums and guitar and counter melodies, was incredible. So, I mean, when you took time to, study the band, that's when you realize how amazing they were. So, I mean, to meet Mike and just shake his hand was like, was a pleasure. You don't often get the chance to meet your meet your hero, and when they turn out when
Oh,
when they turn out to be nice people, it's like even
yeah,
better. So yeah.
yeah. Oh, so you'd say that he's one of your drumming heroes then, Mike
Oh, without
Joy.
a doubt, without a doubt, yeah,
Oh,
without a
that's
shadow of a doubt.
yeah, he's brilliant. He is really brilliant. But so in 2020, your song After All apparently was voted Cook's most favorite song.
Yeah,
It's like, how does that feel? I mean, you're like Coke legends.
yeah, yeah. It was nice, actually. It's. I think awards are strange. Like, it's kind of, you're like, you're kind of naturally anti them, because, like, how can you rate something in terms of one, two, three, which is
Oh
something which
yeah,
is very very subjective. But then you win and you go like, ah, yeah, awards are great. you know? So no, but no, it was really nice, actually. It was nice, and like the song is done. I mean, it's quite an old song. It's like, what is it, 19 years old, or is it? Hang on, I was always bad at maths. 29 years old, is it?
yeah. It was like it was in the nineties. If it's the nineties, yeah, over
Yeah,
20, over 20,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, need a calculator. But it's still enjoyable to play. You play, you kind of feel good. Makes us feel good, makes the audience feel good.
Yeah.
always a nice vibe in the room when we play that song. Even to this day, when I hear it on the radio, it still sounds good on the radio, which is kind of surprising because something that was recorded back then, and you know, I know that we've got some songs that haven't aged well, and I listen to some stuff that I was listening to back then, and you're going like, what was I thinking? But with that one, we're always. Oh, West Brom just scored. Sorry. The with that one, we're all we're quite proud of it. So it's great that it's still got a life. Like it was on that TV show Young Offenders, which kind of gave it another lease of life, which was
Yeah.
definitely unexpected, but but still nice. Yeah, still a kind of a new
Yeah.
generation discovered the song.
So that song will always be part of your set list then. After all,
I
will
think
always
I think so. Yeah, but if we didn't play it, we'd get lynched. I think at this stage,
be.
like you I think with certain songs, you just have to play them. There's no getting out of it. Like it's just yeah. So
Yeah.
and we enjoy it. We do enjoy it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
Well, just so like say that I think you're watching football because someone just asked. Dan Foley said, "Ask Ash, who is his favorite Chelsea player."
all right, right. Past or present.
No, I'm not really into football, so
Uh,
I don't know. I don't know.
do you know? I think I'd have to say Peter Benetti because I was a bit of a goalkeeper. He was a goalkeeper in the 70s and 60s and 70s. So when I got into football, Peter Benetti would have been in goal for Chelsea, and um, I fancied myself as a goalkeeper. And there was no, I mean, obviously there wasn't much video footage, or there was no such thing as YouTube back then. But there was, I remember, I had a, a shoot annual, and there was a picture of Peter Benetti saving a ball, and his feet were above his hands. He was kind of like that shape, and it was like Peter Benetti, Peter the Cat Benetti, and it was always my dream to kind of make a save like that, but I never
Oh,
never quite managed it. So yeah, Peter Benetti would be my favorite Chelsea player.
so do you still so like play football or do you from
No, I
time to
don't.
time when
I don't.
no?
I don't really. I don't really play anymore. If there was an over 55s league, I might get back in, but there's not. But no, I don't play anymore. But I still watch. Like I suppose I'm just sports mad. Like I kind of watch anything. Um, any type of sport, like be it biathlon or show jumping or
Yeah.
football or anything. I just have a fascination with it, you know. Um, and I suppose it's so different from music as well. In in one way, I guess in another way it's not. But it's just you're in a different mindset when you're watching sport. It's I suppose it's my way of relaxing. Yeah, I
Oh, okay.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dan Foley again followed it with women's team. I don't know. It's like I don't know why he's asking. So like women's team. Is there like a Chelsea player or something? But anyways, that was his question. Women's
Oh,
team.
oh, yeah, yeah. There's a girl on the Chelsea women's team at the moment. She's Australian. Her name is Sam something, and she's really good. She's a striker.
Yeah.
She's
I'm.
really
I'm
good. Yeah,
yeah.
I
I'm
don't
not
remember
really.
her second name now, but yeah. So
Yeah, but this is actually really interesting because I also found out that you've got your collection. I mean, I'm not gonna say hobby, but your collection is like your collect, and I'm not sure. Some people say Adidas, some people say Adidas. So, being
yeah,
a collector yourself, how would you say it? How would you say the name?
I say Adidas.
Adidas.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Because I thought because isn't it like original? It's like Adi Dassler or something like that. Isn't that
yeah.
the?
It is. Yeah, it is. It is.
But
I
it's
know I'm wrong.
Adidas. So it's like
I know I'm wrong, but that's how I grew up saying it. You know, I just
yeah,
I read the box and I thought Adidas. So
Adidas.
I didn't. Yeah, but
So,
yeah, I just kind of I don't know what it was. I don't know how I started it. It just I did, and I just have had loads of had loads of pairs, and then I got given out at home, so I don't buy them anymore really. So
well, well, Rob Williams, he wanted to know how many pairs of Adidas trainers you have.
um, I I don't know, but I'd say it's some in and around the 180 mark at the moment. It was up over 200 for a while, but I've been moving them on, and I've been selling bits and pieces and giving them to friends and stuff. But yeah, it kind of got out of hand. All right, it's yeah. I mean, before that, I used to collect football jerseys. I've got like over 100 football jerseys, and I've always collected something. Even though,
Yeah, yeah,
when I was a kid, it was like panini stickers, and then I just a bit of a hoarder, I guess.
yeah.
Um. So, but I've tried to kind of wean myself off the whole collecting thing, just for the simple reason that I don't have enough space in the house anymore.
Well, did you get
So
the Liverpool Adidas trainers? You're the one that was McHead so like promoted. Did you get that one?
no, I didn't. I didn't. They sold out really quick.
Oh.
So yeah, yeah,
So, but do you know with record collection,
yeah,
because
yeah,
especially during lockdown, because I collect records during lockdown.
yeah,
What I did is like play. Oh, I played all my records like from A to Z. I played all
yeah.
of them. So I was able to do that during lockdown. So with your Adidas trainers, do you ever get to do you wear them at least once? Or
I've got some unworn because some of the ones that are worth a bit of money, I just leave them unworn to kind of, I suppose, sell them on for a rainy day or whatever. But I tried to be a wearer rather than a hoarder, even though I would have started being a hoarder. Kind of tried to change my mindset a little bit, like so. Yeah, I actually that lockdown thing was interesting. All right, I kind of managed to discover a few bands who I always I was never really familiar with them, but I always figured that I should go and check them out. So lockdown was great for that. I kind of went and listened to like people like Fleetwood Mac and Pink Floyd and kind of bands like that who I had
yeah,
missed out on. Roxy Music was another one. Um, like I kind of heard bits, but never really delved into them. So lockdown was quite good for that. I enjoyed that part of the lockdown. So
well, I played the Frank and Walters records during lockdown as well because I've got it, and it was like, and I
cool,
really
cool,
enjoyed it. but
nice one.
yeah, but yeah, we were talking about this the your collection, the Adidas trainers, because Shine On is actually one of the things that I've noticed when I go to Shine On every year.
Yeah,
I'd say about 80% of the people who go there, they wear Adidas trainers.
yeah,
But I don't remember like owning a pair of Adidas. Maybe when I was a kid, because I think it was a big thing back then.
yeah,
The
yeah.
what do you call it? Is it? I don't know, like the classic ones.
Gazelle or
Yeah,
Superstar.
I think those are the classic ones. I
Yeah,
remember. I think my brother had it or something, but I don't know. But well,
yeah,
not
because
really big.
they were made in the Philippines for a while in the
Oh, was
80s.
it?
Yeah, yeah, there was a factory in the Philippines. Yeah,
Oh, wait, I
so
didn't know that.
yeah, they're quite rare now, actually. Like Adidas made in the Philippines would be quite rare. They're hard enough to find over here. So
Oh God.
yeah, there you
Oh,
go
I should,
now.
like
Nice
yeah.
bit of knowledge.
I should ask my friends if they have any of those. So like that
Yeah,
they didn't use that they just kept. Um, I want to say hello to Keith Blessed. Keith is also a drummer. He's in a band called Sinka in Manchester, and
cool.
he's a big fan of the Franken Walters.
Nice
Because
one.
do you remember?
Nice one.
Yeah, do you remember? Do you know? We were supposed to. I was supposed to interview you a few months ago, but
That's right.
yeah, you were on call. And I was all like thinking, oh, I need to get another drummer. And I was really, really happy that Keith Pleasant said that yeah, he's okay that weekend. So that
Cool.
Sunday. Keith did that interview with me. But talking about your job, because when you told me that you're on call, I thought you were part of the medical profession.
Oh,
I thought maybe so like a healthcare so like thing. But you're actually the CEO of Copper House. Is that
um,
right?
I, I I think I might have been at the time when I was talking to you, but I was covering a maternity leave. So I'm basically the booker in the venue, in the Cork Opera House. Yeah. So
Oh,
I book the acts.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I enjoy it actually. It's a lovely job. And the Cork Opera House, it's that place in Cork where everyone's first visit to a theatre or a venue, if you're from Cork, is generally the Cork Opera House. So I remember going to like a pantomime when I was 5 or 6, and like always being like kind of fascinated by the building and you know
yeah,
the
yeah.
the lights, the sound, the stage, the
And now,
suites.
and now you work there, and you're the one sort of like booking all
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
shows. So
So it's
yeah.
kind of got a place in most Cork people's hearts.
Oh,
So it's a nice place to work. Yeah.
yeah. I need to go to Cork because when I asked my husband, "Have I been to Cork?" Because I remember we used to sort of like travel around because my husband's family from Abbeyfield.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I was all like saying to him, "Did we ever go to Cork when we went to Ireland when we toured Ireland?" I said, "No, you've never been there." I said, "Oh, have I not?"
yeah, yeah.
I'd love to go there someday. Um, Richard Bourne said, "What was it like meeting Paul McCartney on Top of the Pops?"
Yeah, really good. He was a gentleman. He was actually absolutely lovely. Like when we were doing Top of the Pops, we knew he was doing it too, and we were like just thinking like, oh my God, imagine if we met him, but we didn't have the guts to go up and say hello. And next there was a knock on the dressing room door. He was in the dressing room across from us, and he came in and introduced himself as if he needed
Oh,
an introduction, and he was very very nice, very friendly. Yeah.
oh
So
wow.
it was really cool. He gave his time,
Yeah.
freely, and no ego, and shook hands and signed autographs and chatted away about things that people in bands chat about, like what's your you know I think he had heard, either he had heard or his one of a couple of his kids had heard our song, and they were talking about it because he was there with the daughters, I guess. Stella, I
Oh,
guess, would have
oh
been
yeah,
probably
yeah.
one of
Is that,
them, but she was a
yeah,
bit. And we were just talking about the song and that, and he was saying, oh, he listened to it in the sound check, and then he kind of came back after and said he liked the song and all that
oh,
stuff. So he was an absolute gentleman, I must
yeah.
say. So it was
Did
great.
you have a photograph with him, or was it
We
not?
we we did, yeah. We took a few photographs, and I mean, he said at the time, he just said, I've no problem taking a photograph, but please don't use it. And he said, well, at least for a few years. And so we didn't, like, we got the photographs developed because that's what you had to do back then.
Yeah.
And and got them printed out, and gave copies to our family, and it was on the mantelpiece for
Oh,
years, and but yeah, when we did the Frank and Walters book around, I don't know, 2007 or 2000, no, 2009, I think.
yeah.
We figured that was like, that was well over 10 years, so we used it in the book. But yeah, so
Oh,
actually,
that's
there's a photograph of the three of us with him, but it was actually taken by Linda, who was like a really
oh,
famous
yeah.
photographer in
You
her
got
in,
to
in
ask
her own right.
permission and
Like,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, yeah. So
Oh, well,
yeah,
I mentioned Abbeyfield to you earlier. So Dan Foley said, "Have you ever played Abbeyfield?" He said that the horse fair or the dog track or something.
yeah. I've we've never played there actually. No, no. We've
No.
never been invited. So but if we were ever invited, we'd love we'd love to go.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well,
our singer used to live up close to Abbeyfield at one stage. He lived in that area.
all
So
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He-
Well, my husband's got a video about Cork, and I think he's been having great feedback about it. So
right.
he said sorry for being a spam, but yeah, that's the reason why he likes going to Cork a lot. Is he takes photographs and then he sort of like does videos as well about Cork, because
Oh, cool.
he goes to Dublin a lot as well. I mean, I
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I've got a few more questions for you. So about your drumming, do you twirl when you play drums?
No,
Oh, you don't?
no, no. I don't. Do you know what? I don't even know how to. I've
Oh, you
never.
don't?
I just never. I sort of never saw the point. It was just. It was just like something that, like, well, what are you achieving by twirling? It's like I I, I never really got it. So I didn't bother, and no, nothing since has kind of made me change my mind. So I mean, if some drum guru kind of came to me and said, like, well, I let you on a little secret, like, if you twirl, you'll be able to do A, B, and C better, I would definitely start. But no one's quite let me in on the secret of what's happening when people are twirling. It's like, yeah,
It
I
just
don't
looks really
don't
nice, I think. It looks
does it?
really so like yeah.
Right,
When they
right,
do that and then they play.
yeah, yeah.
Well, apart from Mike Joyce, do you have any other drumming heroes?
uh, yeah. Well, I guess the one, when I started playing the drums, the guy that I would have been listening to and you know impressed by was Keith Moon from the Who.
Oh, yeah,
Obviously, all drummers, I think.
yeah.
Um, it was, and I know, like, I suppose when we started our early stuff, and even our our first album and our first EPs, it's like we've got that three-piece thing where, because we're a three-piece, we're trying to make up for the lack of members, and it's very busy all the time. So I used to be a far busier drummer than I am now, I think. Um, but I think a lot of that would have been partly to do with Keith Moon, and like, he was extremely busy. He was like, like, everything was like double time, and
Yeah.
triplets and sixteenths and that. And then I think the other thing is, there's, like, I never, was never aware of it, but I guess it just seeps into your nature. Like Irish music is like, Irish traditional music is a mile a minute, and everything is double time. Everything is like, real foot stamping, and a lot of movement, and like traditional Irish music songs. There's two speeds, like very slow and very fast. And I know like that Larry Mullen from U2 has that kind of
Yeah.
busyness. And I would have been the same. So I think it was partly Keith Moon, partly just where I grew up, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so he would have been one. And then, I mean, to be honest, like um, the drummer from the Stone Roses would have been, you
Oh
know,
yes.
you know, it was
Yeah.
like that like we'd been going a few years and we
Yeah.
were getting good, uh, but we were still a little bit. We hadn't found our sound. Um, but when I heard all those drummers from that kind of 88, 89
Yeah. Yeah.
bands,
Yeah.
like, you know, the Happy Mondays,
Yeah.
you know, Stone Roses, and even like listening to New Order, like Technique would have been kind of a particular influence on me. That particular album, you know, suddenly it kind of, I think it gave us a little bit of direction. Not that we ended up sounding like those bands. It just kind of nudged us in a way where we were a bit more fluid as a band, because,
Mm,
you know, I mean, the 80s, if you think of like your classic 80s bands, everything is very stuck and rigid. And then with that kind of, you know, a lot of the Manchester bands would have had this groove. Manchester and kind of Northern England bands would have had this kind of grooviness to them. And
yeah.
I think we just learned to loosen up a bit, and that's how those early songs would have, you know, came about. You know, becoming less rigid and more more just having a better groove, and being able to flow better with what the song was trying to say, like things like Michael and Walter Strip, and, you know, those are early songs. There's a kind of like a rollingness to them, whereas they kind of trip over each other in a way, and they're just a lot less rigid than the stuff that we would have been doing like maybe 1 or 2 years earlier. And I think like
Yeah.
that era would have definitely helped nudge us in a particular direction, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm glad that yeah. Sorry.
so I suppose the last one is, you know, it's just, and this is bizarre because I mean I don't really know their music, but I've kind of discovered that guy Danny Carey from Tool recently, and I mean I've never listened to Tool. I don't really listen to kind of, you know, rock or metal. I don't know what you would call Tool as a band, but, you know, when you're listening to his drumming, it's like you kind of realize, like, you know, what a genius he is behind the kit. So it's kind of strange as you get old. I mean, I would have only listened to kind of, I suppose, what's called indie music for
Yeah.
years and years and years. But now, I mean, I listen to everything. It's
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
suppose my prejudice has faded away. Like, you know, it's like whether it's considered metal or prog or jazz or whatever. It's like, if it's good, it's good, and, you know,
Yeah.
I'd listen to it. So it's yeah, I guess the main ones, the main ones would have been, you know, the Who, the Smiths, and then that kind of, you know, Joy Division, New Order, and then the wider Manchester,
Rennie from the
Northern
Stone.
England scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
Well, that's good. I need to, so like I was actually given a Tool CD, so I need to listen to that one. I haven't listened to it yet, so
right,
I'm
right, right.
so particularly listen to the drum sound of that.
Yeah,
But
they're challenging to listen to, but it's kind of worth. There's something in it, all right. You know, even for an indie kid, like. So,
well, I've got another question from Kieran O'Sullivan. He said, "Ask Ash what's his favorite Frank and Walters song for the drumming."
oh, for the drumming, God, that's an
Yeah.
interesting one now. Do you know what? It's oh, that's tricky. It's probably Walter's Trip, um, in one sense, because the drum pattern is it's almost standalone. Sometimes you can play it on itself, and it's almost got a melody within it. Um, um, Another one would be "This Is Not a Song" because again, that's kind of similar. And then there's one there's one off a recent album called a track called "Indie Love Song," and I just love the way the drums interact with the vocals. It's as if like the drums and the vocals are playing footsie, and it's just really like when that when that comes off, when that works, it's just to me it just feels really right, and there's just lovely bits in it. I think it's between those three songs would be kind of my favorite drumming wise anyway.
Uh, so what's apart from Shine On? What's next for the Frankenwalkers? Have you got any other
Um,
gigs? Or...
yeah, we've got a few bits. We're down in there's a festival in West Cork here in the 20th of August down in Bear Island, and then we're
Oh,
in the Electric Picnic, which is like the big festival in Ireland. That's on the first weekend of September, and then
uh,
we're in
yeah.
London in the 100 Club on the first of
Oh,
October.
when's that? First
The
of
first of
October.
October, yeah.
Right.
And then Shine, and then there's a few like just to finish off the year. I think we'd probably just do a short Irish tour, just like Cork, Dublin, Galway, Limerick, maybe. I don't know. We
Yeah.
just do. Yeah, we kind of play maybe once or twice a month these days. Um. So we're not we're not able to tour like we once did. So,
Well,
uh,
this other one, Peter Bathgate says, is there any new material in the pipeline?
Um, th there's not at the minute, but there's loads of stuff written. Like Paul's got a ton of stuff, but we need to get into like I think lockdown was good for some bands and that they went and did a ton of stuff. Like it
Hmm.
was especially good for Taylor Swift. She did loads of things. Um, but for us, we didn't really do anything music wise. It was weird, but just it kind of didn't feel right doing stuff. I don't know how people would practice over Zoom. I couldn't get my head around. Like I think, because we would have started so long ago. It's like if you're not in the room, it doesn't count.
It doesn't.
It
Oh,
just
yeah.
we're old school like that. Like we still think in analog. We still think in 24 tracks.
Yeah. So you weren't
Um,
sending files to each other and then so like, oh, can
no,
you do your bit here and the
No, no, no. Yeah, it just wasn't, and it kind of, I think it knocked a bit of momentum out of us. So we need to kind of regroup and get back into it.
Yeah.
Like we just have to, bite the bullet and do it. Like get into the practice room because, like there was a lot of there was a few there was a good few tracks floating around from the last record that for one reason or another just didn't end up on the last record. There were some were they were half done, and others were just there was a good bit here and a good bit there, but we needed another bit to kind of make it into like a full song and that. So there's like 6 or 7 or 8 tracks floating around which need to be
Oh,
finished, and then
yeah.
there's another bunch of tracks that need to be started so that they could be finished. But it's just we just need to get a date and stick
Yeah.
to it, stick
Yeah.
to it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because that's more
So,
than enough there for another album. Then.
without a
Yeah.
doubt, yeah, yeah. There's plenty of stuff there. It's just getting the time and getting everyone together. The way, like like we've all got kids, and
Yeah.
you know, life life
Work.
gets in the way. So, but we need to figure it out. So hopefully we will in the next like few weeks we'll be able
Yeah.
to sit down and work something out and aim for something maybe next year or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure all the fans would love that, to have
Yeah.
and also a tour as well. Um, But my last question now is: do you have any advice to like aspiring drummers, drummers out there that want to start and become a professional one?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my it's it I find it difficult to give advice because I think the world has changed, and I think what worked for me, I don't think would necessarily work for
With
for
anyone?
for someone in this day and age, you know. Like I would have for years and years and years, I would have been like, develop your own style, like, try and almost not be influenced by others. But then part of me really regrets not going and kind of like studying drums and the instrument, like,
Mhm.
you know, more, and kind of, to gain like a fuller knowledge of the instrument. So, um, but I suppose from a band point of view, it's like, as soon as you can, and I mean this is like as soon as you buy your flipping drum kit. I don't think there's any point in hanging around. Like, as soon as you can hit the damn thing, get some friends to, buy a microphone to be a singer, buy a bass guitar, buy a guitar, buy a keyboard if you want, get into a practice room, or be it like your parents' front room or a garage, and start playing, because that's where, it's like being a bedroom drummer, guitarist, singer, bass player is no fun. The real fun is when you're in the practice room, and if you're all at a similar level, you can all,
Yeah.
you know grow together. And it's stick at it is the only thing. I mean, every band who's ever made it, you can be sure, you can be 100% sure they went through like desperate times, and they had arguments, and there was periods of massive self doubt. I mean, musicians like to give the impression that they're cool as and nothing phases them, but like, behind the bravado, like there's serious insecurities. Um, and it's stick at it, and you get there. And if you don't, it doesn't matter, because you'll have a really good time trying to
Yeah.
get there. So
Oh,
there you go.
that's brilliant. Yeah, that's very good. Well, thank you, thank you so much. I finally got to interview you.
No problem at all. No problem.
Thank you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the Franken Walters at Shine On in
Cool.
November in my head.
Perfect.
And
Nice one.
if I could get to the 100 Club on the 1st of October, I'll see what see how it is. So that
Cool.
will be a good one as well. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Perfect. No problem.
Yeah.
Take
And
it easy. Hey, where's
yeah,
my
you
thumb?
too. Yeah, well, I think it's nearly past bedtime. No, so, oh no, nearly bedtime. So, because
Definitely.
you've got work tomorrow. So,
True. That's true.
yeah. Thank you so much, and
Nice
yeah,
one.
see you soon.
See you
Okay,
later.
bye.
Thanks. Bye bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thanks, Ash. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, thank you all so much for joining us live, and thank you very much to Ash Keating. That was amazing. Oh my God, I'm really looking forward to seeing them in November in Minehead for at Shine On. But yeah, so I'm gonna be away this weekend, but there's gonna be another episode of Ask the Drummer this coming Thursday in 3 days' time, and it's gonna be at 2 o'clock on Thursday. I'm gonna do the guest announcement post. But it's going to be a special one because this drummer has been at sorry, Glasgow's Pop last weekend, and he was absolutely amazing. And I'm so glad that he's doing the early so like interview on Thursday. So I do hope to see you all again next this coming Thursday, not next week, but this coming Thursday. And yeah, so it's nearly bedtime anyways for all of us in the UK or you know in Ireland. So see you all again soon. But always love music, love life, and love drummers. They're just so awesome. Yeah, we've seen Ash Keating, absolutely amazing. So yeah, bye for now. See you all soon. Bye.